Could you share a little bit more about, the Eat24 acquisition, and then, as you came in as the CEO, maybe what some of the biggest challenges were?
Yeah, that was a really interesting time, right? So at Yelp, I was VP of Business and Corporate Development. That business development usually means lots of partnerships, especially for a marketplace. There's some debate like, is Yelp a marketplace or not? It kind of is, right? It's matching these consumers and local businesses, but we didn't have the transactions on platform. So I led about 200 partnerships and then started building the M&A, did our first few acquisitions. And we said, we actually launched a platform for transactions where you could transact right there on Yelp. We said, hey, we're not doing the transaction ourselves, but maybe we could do it through partners. And we quickly realized we did this in a bunch of verticals. We had like hotel bookings with a startup called Hipmonk and some others. We had, event bookings. You could even book like a winery or golf tee time. But then we had food delivery early on. We realized would be pretty valuable. And so we put food delivery in this little company, Eat24. I think when we first partnered with the company, I first met them, they were like 10 or 15 employees. It was tiny. They just out executed everybody on the platform and started growing really, really quickly. And we became their number one source of new users, and they were the number one partner on our platform. So at some point we said, hey, this is really valuable. And I told them, look, I don't want to wake up one day and read in the Wall Street Journal that you got acquired by somebody else. We're a key partner to you. You're a key partner to us. Please let us know if something ever happens, and we would maybe be interested in acquiring you, or we could keep partnering. And one day I did get that call saying, hey, there's been some M&A interest. Would you guys want to take a look? And coincidentally, we were pretty interested ourselves. So we entered those M&A conversations. And it was smart, like looking back, I think as a company, we probably should have gone even more early and more double down kind of aggressive at food delivery. That if you look at how big DoorDash and Uber Eats have become, that was really one of the biggest grand prizes for a marketplace around local businesses to create a big market cap. And Yelp, we dipped our toes in the water and we did this acquisition and grew to a certain scale. But there's actually even more opportunity from there. So we acquire the company, and then there's the whole process. Once you acquire a company that's a partner, of integrating that company. How do you get, there were 150 employees at the time of acquisition, and we grew it to 500 employees in 2 years. And that's about 3x growth. We more than tripled revenue in that time. And so like, how do you do all those things? That's a whole challenge. Happy to answer any questions that we can kind of get into.
Yeah, I'd love to dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah. So a few of the things, first things first, when you do an acquisition like that, it's all about the people, right? So, and I bring that, now when we're investing in a company at Canvas, I look at it in a similar way. It's like, okay, who are the people we're investing in? How are we enabling them to succeed? Teams are first and foremost the most important. Of course, the team you're investing in has to be in a market that has a lot of upside, like the food delivery market, was one example. And so we came in there. One thing I did on the first day is tell everyone like, hey, you've all got your jobs. We want to retain everybody. Like that's really important, and kept them. And also I spent a lot of time. I'd spent years getting to know the founders of the company, and leading up to the acquisition, we spent months, lots of dinners going into the evening, and multiple whiteboard sessions of like, here's how we're going to map everything out. And then we have to have a clear plan. The founder, who was the CEO, there were a few co-founders, but the main kind of co-founding CEO, to his credit, was very mature, raised his hand and said, look, I'm going to stick around for a certain amount of time because this is my baby. I want to see it succeed, but I'm not a corporate guy. I've never imagined working in a big public company. He's like, Mike, I think you should just run this thing. And that's not something I was planning to do. But at the same time, the Yelp board kind of asked me the same thing. They said, hey, if the CEO is not going to stick around, someone's got to run it. And we think you're the best, it the best, you're the best suited to do it. So I said, okay, that sounds like a great experience and challenge. And I really love this business. But getting that whole CEO transition was, something we took very seriously. Luckily, it was kind of his idea. So I had his full support in kind of doing that. And the team was just incredible. They were great to work with, and really helpful. It sounds cheesy, but there is a first 90 days kind of business school type book that has this whole, and they have 4 quadrants, like decide if you're doing a turnaround, or you're helping something that's already growing. And this was something that was already growing. It wasn't a turnaround. So really good advice from that book is when you're entering a new situation like that, a new leadership role, or you're taking on, maybe when you hire a new executive, you can give them this book at your startup, or a new co-founder you're bringing on, someone in a leadership role. And the key thing is, if everything's already working and going up and to the right, the challenge is you get some sort of leader or overeager MBA type person comes in and they want to change everything. And that's actually the worst thing to do. Like, things are working. Why would you break everything? So for that first 90 days, actually more about listening, observing. And my natural stance is lean forward. I want to jump in, get my hands dirty, do work, make some changes, show that I'm doing a good job. But I resisted all those impulses. I really prepared months in advance to say, I'm just going to calm down, take a deep breath, get to know what's going on, observe, help, support, maybe catch little things, take notes. If there's something I want to change, write it down. You don't have to do it right away, and then just get to know it because it's working. On the other hand, if there's a turnaround and everything needs to change, like if the ship is sinking, you're going to run out of cash, then it's emergency mode, then go all in. It's someone who's too calm or lean back. It's the opposite. They need to learn how to get more aggressive, because if you're running on fumes, you don't have time to sit there and observe and learn and ask questions all the time. You have to actually, have a bias for action during that period.